Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast with Profit. Asian markets are looking a little tepid, so it's not really much action picking up in Asia. But back home, we did see the markets selling off about 0.5% yesterday, and because of that, you are expecting an opening for our markets above that very important 4,700 mark, 4,705. So about 0.75% higher. That's the kind of indications we're getting from the SGX Nifty for an opening back home. Asha, but it was the day when the cement sector looked pretty good yesterday. July dispatches were pretty impressive, weren't they?
Yes, Samina, the numbers from July month have absolutely been above street estimates, but for more and more companies such as J. Prakash Associates and Shree Cements, the numbers have been staggering. Just about 40% gain on a Y&Y basis as far as the dispatch numbers for the month of July. The industry trend has been that the average 20% gain has actually kicked in for the month of July across the cement makers that we've actually analyzed. Look at the year-on-year growth numbers for the month of July, of course, with the month of June also coming in. ACC and Ambuja have remained subdued, but the mid-cap players, including some of the names like Shree Cements, JP Associates and Dalmia Cements particularly, have also seen quite good set of numbers as far as cement dispatches for the month of July are concerned. But to get more on that, we joined by the management at Dalmia Cements. We joined by Mr. Puneet Dalmia, Managing Director at Dalmia Cements Bharat Limited. Mr. Dalmia, morning. Welcome to NDTV Profit. Give us a sense on how the overall demand outlook is for you. How are the dispatch numbers coming out? And again, on the face of it, construction activity has picked up, but how is the situation looking like to you on the ground?
If you look at the northern part of the country, New Delhi is leading the growth. There is 35% growth in the first quarter, and that's due to the construction of the Delhi Metro, the airport and the Commonwealth Games demand. If you look at the southern region, Tamil Nadu and Kerala have posted 11-12% growth, and we have very good construction and rural demand in both these states. But if you look at Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, the demand has been flat. And I think that's because of the IT effect. We have seen some slowdown in Bangalore and Hyderabad, which are big contributors in both Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. But I think that will pick up because now in Andhra Pradesh, the government policy on irrigation and low-cost housing, which had contributed to huge demand growth in the last 3-4 years, is going to continue. Congress has come back with a thumping majority, and we see continuity of the political regime and the infrastructure policy. So I think Andhra will recover. Karnataka, I would still like to wait and see. If I switch to the eastern region, again we are seeing demand growth of about 20% in the first quarter, which is very healthy. And we don't have end-use data in that region yet, but it's partly due to great government in Bihar and a very good government in Orissa, which are following pro-development policies. If I go to the western region in Maharashtra, again there is infrastructure construction. Bombay airport is coming up, lot of investment in roads and highways, and some investments in ports in the Gujarat side.
Well, Mr. Dalmia, obviously across various geographies, it's quite a mixed picture that's really panning out. But when do you believe that the growth will be on track and the recovery is underway? But when do you expect growth to come back on track?
It has already recovered slightly. We saw that in FY09 the growth had gone down to about 8%, and in the first quarter the demand growth has recovered back to 12%. So I think we can see the stimulus spending impact coming through in the first quarter itself. However, our outlook is that we will be very positively happy if 10% kind of growth in demand continues. But if the infrastructure policy and the spending takes off, we could get the demand growth in the teens also.
Mr. Dalmia, talk a little bit about the pricing environment. As monsoons kick in, usually there's a trend wherein the prices tend to decline. Can you give us an estimate, or what's the kind of price correction you are seeing?
It's hard to give a exact number and forecast, but I said that new capacities are coming up in the fourth quarter of financial year 10, that is from January 2010 onwards, and if I go by past empirical data, we have seen price corrections of about 5 to 10%, and I think given the consolidation of the industry and a good demand growth, that may be cushioned to some extent. So I think my outer limit forecast would be a 10% correction, but my view is that given consolidation and good demand growth, price correction could be limited to 5 to 6% at best.
And Mr. Dalmia, earlier this year, obviously, there was an expectation that prices would correct, and this comes in the fact that there were new capacities that were going to be added, but somehow prices have actually held up so far. Are you expecting the volume growth somewhere will negate the new capacities that will be added, and you might not really see that much of a dramatic correction coming through?
Absolutely, and I think we have seen that in the northern region and the eastern region. New capacities have come in both these regions, but prices have actually gone up, and in the eastern region I've seen Calcutta, Bhubaneswar, Patna, there is just no cement available. Clinker stocks are zero because demand growth is 20% and in the eastern region and 35% in Delhi, and some parts of UP and Madhya Pradesh are also showing demand growth in the high teens. So if demand growth continues the way it is continuing today, I think the fears of oversupply and excess capacity will be very short-lived. And I've always maintained, if I compare India and China, China consumed 3 times more cement as compared to India when both the economies were $1 trillion economies. And the Chinese demand was driven by infrastructure consumption. So China consumed 500 million tons as opposed to India at 165 million tons when both were $1 trillion economies. So I think the headroom for growth in India is very, very high.
Right, thanks so much, Mr. Dalmia, for talking to us this morning on NDTV Profit. It was Puneet Dalmia of Dalmia Cements talking to us about how the outlook for the cement sector looks. He's pretty optimistic that despite new capacity additions, volume growth will help negate the price correction, and doesn't expect too much of a price correction either coming through. Well, that is all the time we have on the show, but thanks for watching Breakfast with Profit.
All right, and countdown and opening moves with Prashant Nair and Namrata Barar is up next.